So welcome to everybody for this seminar that I put a little different title at the last minute. Put the title Introduction to Science and Spirituality. So I'm going to share the screen. And we're going to see. Yes. It's better if I put the full screen otherwise like that, huh? And if I can put it. So yes, I put the title Introduction to Science and Spirituality. And of course, I dedicate that, we can say, seminar to my teacher. You know, when I was young, I was student in science. And when I am old, I'm student of spirituality. And especially Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, or Dr. T.D Singh, maybe you know his name. Yeah. And he is my main inspiration in that topics. He is my spiritual master also. And he is a disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Institute Prabhupada, who many of you, of course, knows is the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, but is also the founder Acharya of Bhaktivedanta Institute. How many people here know Bhaktivedanta Institute? So you can open your mic and you just speak. More easy like that. How many people know? Maybe nobody or a few. If you want to speak, you just open your mic. So Bhaktivedanta Institute is not very well known, It has been created in 1974 by Srila Prabhupada, and the first director of this institute was Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, one of his disciples from India, from the state of Manipur. And it is because of that institute that I became involved in that institute, also in ISKCON, of course, but in this institute, that I'm presenting that. So, if possible, even if it is difficult for the language for many of us, but it is good if devotee express what they think. For example, about what is science. If somebody asks you what is science, what are you going to answer? Don't be shy. Yeah?
I'll say something. Hi, this is David.
Yes, good evening, David.
I guess science is a method for acquiring knowledge about the world, I think.
Yes. Some method to acquire knowledge.
Yeah, but it has certain kind of rules, like it should be knowledge which is it's meant to be kind of always true, not just about one person. So it should be something which, even after you're gone, survives. Like, read about old scientists who, lived centuries ago, and we still follow some theories. Or it should be also.
So David, don't forget that you're the only one that English is your mother tongue.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry.
So there are some devotees from Russia and Ukraine, Japanese, they don't understand fully English. So
I apologize. I'll to speak more simply, yeah, it's
Yes,
a method where knowledge is acquired by maybe doing experimentation or checking,
yes,
and it should be maybe based on maybe the use of logic or evidence.
yes, yes. It's a quite good definition, you know. Mm. Some other devotees have different definition who can complete that, you know. Maybe not. Yes, this is the point, you know. So actually, the word science, you know, it's coming from the Latin word scientia, who means knowledge. And this Latin word is coming from a verb, sire, this is Latin again, which designates the mental faculty specific to knowledge. This is Wikipedia definition, you know. So when we understand that the term science is related to Latin, so this means it's going to be related to Western Europe. And after we are going to have the modern science, you know, coming from Western Europe, not coming from can say Japan or India or Russia, no, from Western Europe. So this is the origin of the word science is connected with knowledge. And of course, after we are going to see how to get knowledge, you know, like David was mentioning, you know, it's also very interesting how to get knowledge. So this is a word, the definition more or less of science, you know. So now, how can we give a definition to spirituality? I think most of you are more in a spiritual path than a scientific path, you know. So what is definition of spirituality? What is the definition? No definition? I think quite a few from you are belong to the Hare Krishna movement, you know. So what is spirituality in your understanding? In, in French, we have a joke, you know, when we say spiritual means a person who is expert with the French language, you know, with a noun, with a verb, you know. It's not a real definition, but it's like that. But again, in the Wikipedia, it is said that spirituality refers to a sense of connection to something greater than oneself. It can include a search for meaning in life, a connection to nature, or a relationship with a higher power. It can be God, it can be a state of consciousness, it can be a philosophy, meaning of life, it can be um, how the world has been created, you know, the origin of life. So this is a, a simple definition given by, you can say, science and spirituality. And now, yes, what is common between science and spirituality? What do you think? What is common between these two um, topics?
Uh, Devashi, if I maybe they both have something to do with knowledge or understanding.
Yes, yes. Both of them are looking for some type of knowledge, thing, and it's very important, because it's um, both of them are like there is some desire to know, inquisitiveness, can say like that, to know what is the world, what is the soul, who is God, how all this thing is working. So it's very interesting topic. And there are some also other reasons like the two, science and spirituality, they want to find some proof of realization. It's not only looking for some answer, but we need to experience the answer, to get some realization. And this is true in spirituality. When there is a spiritual experience, there is a realization. And when we are also in science, there is a proof, needed to find a proof. We cannot accept anything without a proof. And also both of them, science and spirituality, they want to give some satisfaction and happiness to the people. They are not, they are goal oriented. For example, here, we are here, we are not in the same place. We are using a computer, we are using internet, we are using Zoom. It means we can communicate like that because of science, because of some people have finding how to connect people with internet, how to create a computer, how to create a phone that we can have internet. And both of them also, science and spirituality, there is a lot of work, especially internal work, to think a lot, to experience. See, why many people, I don't know if you have seen in life, many people don't want science and don't want spirituality. Because many people are really lazy. It's simple. Laziness is very strong in this world. But if we, because science and spirituality, there is a notion of to be inquisitive, to want to get knowledge, to look for knowledge. It's not so easy. So there is a need, a lot of work. And now I'm going to present something about the history of science and also spirituality. Compare. So when we speak about history of science, there is a lot of evolution and revolution. Like in the Latin word, if we take the Latin word scienza, this is only from, can say 2000 years, something like that. So the old texts in life are called the Vedas. And in the Veda, there is no mention about the word science. It means that in Veda means knowledge. So in the Vedic presentation, all knowledge are already explained in the Veda about everything. About the world, about the living entity, about the creation of the world, about the the evolution, of consciousness, everything is already there in the Veda. So they don't have in the Veda another term like science, So when we go like the Greek period, like Socrates, Plato, like that, for the Western, Europe, like that. So we see that actually their topics of knowledge was mainly philosophy, theology, and to know how the world is working. And gradually, the Western world changed because a specific revolution. And this is called the scientific revolution, especially from these two, 1543 to 1687. So maybe David, you can read.
Okay. The scientific revolution was a series of events that marked the emergence of modern science during the early modern period, when developments in mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, including human anatomy, and chemistry transformed the views of society about nature.
Yes, it's very interesting to study that period because in that period, science has evolved a lot. And we call this is the beginning of modern science. And this is modern science who has influenced us in our young age and will still influence all of us in our life and all the young people. So it is especially during that period that we have mathematics, physics, like that has developed so much, And yes, this is a detail, It was from Copernic in 1943 till Newton in 1968. And among that period, one person named Francis Bacon, he was a very intelligent person. And actually, he is the main person who studying nature, around him. Nature means we study how the chemistry, like that, and with the number, with the mathematics, physics. He developed the idea that if we study more modern science, we don't need God. And don't forget, because we are in Western Europe, and the main religious tradition is the church, Christian tradition, And before the church was really recognized, and having a spiritual position in the society. But during that period, especially because of this Francis Bacon, it was the separation came between the church and the state. And in countries like France, England, Germany, Italy, and Spain, the Western Europe, it was very, very important. And this tendency to separate come from the theology and from theological question came at that time. This is why mainly in country like in Western Europe like France, we have a separation between the state and the church. Separation. And for many people in the West, we believe in science or we believe in God, but we cannot believe both in the West. But in Asia, especially in India, never have this type of problem. Because modern science now try to answer mainly how the world is working, not why, how it's working. Not why. So it is two different topics. So that type of revolution was very, very important, you know. And this is the origin of the modern science. And everything we study now in school or in university has been influenced by that. Everything. And now, if we consider about this, what is spirituality now? It is connected with something higher to us. It can be nature, it can be God, it can be like that. So do we have different spiritualities in our world today? Do we have or do we not have? You know? So, sorry. Yes. Do we have only one spirituality? Or do we have a few? What do you think?
If I can offer opinion, I think yes, I would say there are different. I think some spiritual traditions uh, have different emphasis.
Yes. You said
Um,
different spirituality or different religion?
I think probably different religions. I'm thinking.
Yes.
I think some spiritual traditions encourage people to maybe to know God. Some are more about following rules that God has told people.
Yes. Yes. So we can see that in our world today, we have different religion, like Buddhist, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, main one like that, and after some smaller. And we have also different level of realization in spirituality. Mhm. Like, about now I'm going to take more the Vedic meaning of spirituality. Mhm. According to the Veda, uh, spirituality has no beginning and no end. And we call in Sanskrit Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal. Dharma is not really religion. It is the nature of something. Like the nature of sugar is sweet. So it is said in Vedas that the nature of the living entity is to serve. And Sanatan Dharma means eternal service to God. And that meaning of spirituality is based on reality. And realization means it's based on different level of consciousness that we can perceive, that we can experience. And on the other way, religion have a beginning and may have an end. And they are based mainly on faith. And faith can change. It is why sometimes people, for example, they are in a religion, can be like Christian, they can become Muslim or Hindu, anything like that. Faith can change, religion can change, but spirituality cannot change according to the Vedic presentation. Like that. So it is like, many of us, we are practicing Krishna consciousness. So we want to develop, a love of God. So this is very advanced stage. So there are different level to reach that level. So it is different level of realization on spirituality. And if we compare now with the science, science, we are looking for knowledge, looking for use of knowledge in our life. So we can see that science and spirituality, they are universal. And there are different science, and there are different religion, different level of practicing, different level of realization. But they are in common, they are also for everyone. You know? And now we are going to study the topics of spirituality and the topics of science. What are the topics of spirituality? According to you? So you can speak or you can write in the chat if you prefer, if it is more practical for you. What are the topics of spirituality? What is the subject? Spirituality speak about what? God and our relationship to Him. Yes. Yes. There are more topics actually. So we can what David is writing. God means in our relationship. Means we can say God, our situation and our relationship with Him. When we discuss about spirituality, what the Vedas are telling us. Or we can take, to make it more easy, Bhagavad Gita is the central book, can say, in the Veda, like that. And it is a short book. We are very fortunate, So, do someone remember what are the different topics what Bhagavad Gita is speaking? Because it is the same topic of spirituality that Bhagavad Gita is speaking. No idea. Okay, so type of yoga, what is our nature? Are we limited? Are we eternal? Yes, yes. But actually, there are mainly 5 topics of spirituality in the Veda. One is called God. In Sanskrit, his name is Ishvara. One is the living entity, means us, the Jiva. One is the material nature, the Prakriti. One is the time, called Kala in Sanskrit. And what is the karma, or the result of our activity. So this is the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, and this is the 5 topics of spirituality. So it is more that what we think. Sometimes we think about God, about yes, we serve God like that, This is very important because we are the living entities, the jiva, so we need to know where we are, what is our situation in the story, But there is also the material nature, prakriti. So this is the main 5 topics of spirituality. And modern science. Now we are going to focus mainly on modern science in comparison to ancient old science, There are 3 divisions, 3 types of topics also. We have the natural sciences, like physics, chemistry, biology, studies the physical world. So it's like the prakriti in the Sanskrit, in the material nature. Behavioral sciences, economic, psychology, sociology, we study individual and society. And the formal sciences, logic, mathematics, computer science. We study formal systems governed by axioms and rules. So now, if we put this related to the Veda, we can see that the natural sciences are studying the nature. you know, called Prakriti in Sanskrit, means the material nature. And this touch about how about the creation of the world, about the evolution of the world, about the creation of the living entities, the human being, like that. And the second category of science, about like economics, psychology, and sociology, study individual and society. What is the verb in Sanskrit of that? What is Vedic sociology? How do we call it in Sanskrit? We study individual and society. Maybe you don't know. It's called Varnashram Dharma in Sanskrit. Dharma. Varnashram Dharma. What is the nature of the living entity? So there are some Varna, can be intellectual, can be more manual people, working with agriculture, business, handicraft, working for factory, working for the police, for the being member for religion. So this is called Varnashram Dharma. This is a Vedic sociology. In the non-Vedic approach, we have other sociology, like communism, socialism, capitalism, like that. And the third one, the formal sciences like mathematics, logic. In the Veda, we have a different system of philosophy. Mainly six, and one is called logic. And the main personality in that system is called Gautama, logic. So the numbers, mathematics, the numbers, the complex numbers, like that. It's very much explained in the Vedic literature, actually. And we all know that, for example, 5,000 years ago, Krishna was playing chess. So there is a big relation between chess and mathematics. And also with poker and mathematics. So when a person has his spirit is really into mathematics, it's more easy for him to play chess or poker. Because it is governed by axiom, like that. So we just repeat. So modern science is mainly, this is the topics. And now we are going to see the different systems that modern science, I make a mistake, yes. Knowledge is not written like that. No, make a mistake. So it means what system use modern science and what system use spirituality. How to get knowledge for modern science? What is your idea? How to get knowledge? To try to get knowledge, to increase our knowledge, our understanding when we follow modern science. Means modern science means when we follow all these different sciences, Psychology, physics, mathematics, biology, all this. How to get knowledge? Experiments, yes. And sharing information, debating ideas, yes. To ask, yes. We ask, to ask who? To ask a person, to ask a system, to ask the nature, to ask God, how to get knowledge, to use modern science. Question those who have knowledge. Yes. So we ask people who have knowledge. For example, when you go to school, you have teachers. When we don't know, we ask. So it means we can. This is for general tendency to ask person who knows, But in modern science, there is no mention about God or about people who knows about God. So when we want to develop some knowledge, we try to create the knowledge. So we use mainly in modern science two systems. Observation. We observe, what's happening around us. So I just put some simple example. It's maybe old example, but it is more easy to understand. Like the Newton law of gravitation. I think we all know the story. Newton. One time he was sitting near apple tree, and he saw one apple falling. From the tree, and it was like in Latin we say "eureka," means I found. Yes, something is attracted by the earth. So it is by observation. In Sanskrit, we call pratyaksha. And also, another way to have develop knowledge is anumana. In Sanskrit, it's called hypothesis. And the best example is the Darwin theory, actually. Darwin, he was going, for a few years, in a ship, near America, South America. And he, by experimentation, by looking to the different species that he saw, by studying like that, he was a biologist. He concluded that there is evolution from species to species. But if we read the biography of Darwin, he explained, he wrote in his own biography that he sent a letter to one of his friends, Mr. Wallace, and he said that that theory is a speculation. And he wrote himself that this theory is going to be known as Darwin evolution, is a speculation. He wrote himself. And nowadays, in almost all the world, when we try to understand the origin of life, origin of human being, we all can say only one theory is presented. It is the Darwin theory, evolution theory. So we call anumana, hypothesis. It may look good, it may be good, not automatically. Like when we observe, it may be true, not always. So actually, modern science uses mainly the ascending process. We start from ourselves, and we try to get knowledge by observation and by hypothesis. Maybe you remember, when all of us we are very young, like maybe 5, 6 years, when we see to the moon or to the sun, they look very small, I say, oh, Dad, I want to go to the moon. Yes, bring the moon here, bring the sun here. Because our perception is not perfect, So actually, when this is the two main way to get knowledge when you use modern science. But when a guy was saying a different way to get knowledge, this is the difference with spirituality. In spirituality, the main way to get knowledge is to receive knowledge from authority, called Shabda in Sanskrit. So it is very, very different way of getting knowledge. And it is a descending process in that case. In the Veda, it is Veda are very clear about about everything, and it's very clear about the way to get knowledge. They say about we need to accept the Shastra, the Vedas, and we need also to find some living person, can call gurus or sadhu, who have realized, who know that knowledge, not only by heart, but who have realized that knowledge. Because in Vedas are not about book knowledge. Actually, even Srila Prabhupada, he said, that book knowledge without realization of the absolute truth is useless. Said that in Bhagavad Gita. So actually, real spirituality means realization. So the source of knowledge in spirituality is coming from Shastra, the Veda, the scriptural books, but it must be transmitted by a person who has that realization. Guru and sadhu means bona fide guru, bona fide sadhu, of course. Because nowadays, sometimes we have a not bona fide person. And the main difference, it is a descending process. So we have some ascending process, can say hypothesis, experimentation, and we have some descending process. So yes, this is a. So can we use both? Or in our daily life, are we using both? What do you think about that? Can take example like cooking. We can follow a recipe, can follow a book, we can follow someone who explain to us, like that. So it's like descending knowledge, but we can also, let's say, create some recipe. We can use our senses to check. We can also have some hypothesis. If I make that with that, maybe it's going to be good, So actually, in our life, more or less, we use the two systems, ascending process and descending process in our life. So modern science is use ascending process, and Veda spirituality use descending process. But if we study the life of the person who discovered some invention, many of them explain that they just received some inspiration. And that inspiration has opened the door for discovering something. Yes, many modern scientists, have realized the importance of inspiration, of receiving something from outside, not knowing exactly what it was, but something. Yes, it is this. This inspiration is a sending process. This is very important thing, Inspiration, where it's coming from. We can say it's not coming from us. Because sometimes we get some clarification in life. Sometimes we have some duality. We don't know what to do with this or that. And sometimes it's becoming clear. So it's coming from some other place, other sources, other person actually. It is like, especially, yes, I can take an example in the Christian tradition, Means in the Christian tradition, um, we pray for the Supreme Spirit, in Sanskrit called the Paramatma, So we pray, and sometimes we receive the result of our praying. And sometimes we don't understand how it's coming. It's coming from another source. So actually, we can experience when we are receiving inspiration, our life take another direction. So it is a guidance coming from, we call the Paramatma, or the Supreme Soul, actually, coming from God. We can also pray to some saintly person and get some inspiration. But inspiration is always coming from another person. And it is always descending process. So it is why actually most of the discovering in science are sanctioned by God, and the person discovers something, he receives inspiration from inside. Maybe he does not know what is going on, which one, which person, God, which level of God, what name of God, maybe he does not know. But there is something coming. So it is why, in our life, even if the modern science is mainly atheist, nevertheless, in order to develop modern science, we need help from other person, especially God, or manifestation of God. Like that. To conclude, to conclude that. So, if you have any point, any question, any argument, any thing, you can ask anytime. I know it's maybe not easy for some of you who cannot speak so much English, but try your best. And probably by trying our best, we can receive some inspiration from above. Above. What is different between science and spirituality? The common thing was looking for knowledge, internal work, it's not for lazy people, science and spirituality. And also wanted to have experience or proof. So what is different between science and spirituality now? If we try to do that direction. Yes, spiritual experience is very personal. Yes. Yes. You experience it yourself. But can we say that science can be also very personal? Like, like psychology, you know? Can we say that sometimes it's difficult to explain to others, or to have, or for them to have the same experience? Yes, it is individual. Say like that. Yeah. Yes. One time, in 2004, I was in Italy, and we did a big congress, about origin of life. And I was asking one scientist, actually, he had a PhD in physics. And I was asking, what is the difference between religion, with a question of faith, and spirituality? And religion was and he said, spirituality is individual and religion is public. So in the same way, advanced science is also very hard to understand. Unless you understand a lot of mathematics, you cannot understand theories of physics. Yes, because the different sciences are connected and more now. And now we use complex, numbers. It's not like 50 years before or 100 years before. Now advanced science, we have advanced science. Now we also need advanced spirituality. If you want to understand more clearly. In our world, we need to become more and more to understand the reality. Otherwise, we are going to become crazy. But why many people now in our world commit suicide? Even many teenagers, commit suicide because they don't know where to go. They have no value. They don't think it's good to have a life to live. And they don't want to study. Many of them don't have good association, good, you can say, inspiration in life. So actually, if we go a little more deeper about the difference between science and spirituality, the topics are different. We have seen that science is mainly about the world, ourselves, and the mathematics. How to put in theory, axiom, theorem, like that, how to explain, So this is the main topics of science. But the topics of spirituality is like, here is God. There is the same topics in the nature. There is a living entity. There is God. This is a different topics. There is the karma and the time. Topics are different. Means spirituality includes science, according to the Veda. This is why there is no name for science in the Veda. But in the modern approach, modern science, we have putting more importance on the science. So many years ago, like a few centuries before, the main topics studied in university were mainly philosophy and theology. When I did my BSc, it was in 74 in France, my topics was mathematics. And actually, at that time, 50 years ago, mathematics, chemistry, physics was the main thing. Now, in the same university, the main topics are more computer science, engineering. So there is evolution according to the time, There is evolution. But the topics are dealing with knowing the nature, dealing how to understand the creation of the world, the evolution, the Big Bang, all these topics are there. How to understand the psychology, men, women, and now there are some topics since a few, like 30, 40 years about what is consciousness. So consciousness is one of the main topics in the Vedas, because they speak about the living entity. Living entity has consciousness. God has consciousness. Material nature has no consciousness. And so it means that the topics may be different, and the way of trying to get knowledge is different. But it's not so clear, because sometimes we are influenced by modern science and want to develop spirituality same time. But sometimes it is mixed. Mm-hmm. How to clarify that? This is a very important subject, how to clarify that. Science only studies the matter of nature. This means if we can say modern science only studies the material nature, right? Because we have the spiritual science, science of the soul, If we keep the meaning of science like the etymology in Latin, science means knowledge. Veda means knowledge. So Veda and science are supposed to be the same thing. Yes, this is logical. But what is not so much available is to study deeply that thing. Like in our world, many of us, we have been to school. Maybe some of us have the BA, BSc, some of us master degree. Very few have a PhD degree. So in the same way, if we study like spiritual books, like Bhagavad Gita, like Srimad Bhagavatam, many of us, we can read Bhagavad Gita. Some of us, we can study a little bit Bhagavad Gita. Some of us can read Srimad Bhagavatam. Very few study Srimad Bhagavatam. But who study, the Vedanta Sutra, the Upanishad, all these books, very, very few. So in the same way that if we want to study modern science very deeply, we need a few years of studying. To get a PhD means it's quite a few years. In the same way, to get a PhD in philosophy or theology or in spirituality, we need quite a few years of study. So since many of us are in the ISKCON movement, I'm going to say something. Like many of us, we can have like, some understanding about the Bhagavad Gita, and we can chant Hare Krishna. We can offer the food to Krishna, take prasadam, like that, But very few inside the ISKCON member want to study scientifically the Vedas. Srila Prabhupada explained, when we want to study Srimad Bhagavatam, he said, if we hear attentively from the beginning of the first canto, if we hear attentively, verse after verse, purport after purport, at the end of canto 9, we are going to become a liberated person. And after we can test canto 10, Krishna Look. So Srila Prabhupada explained like that. Srila Prabhupada is a very systematic and scientific presentation of the Veda. Very, very scientific. But for many of us, we are a little lazy. For many of us, we don't have a guidance about how to study in a deeper way the Vedic literature. Many of us, we don't know so much about the Sandarbha, the books written by Jiva Goswami. Many of us, we don't know the Vedanta Sutra, written by Srila Vyasadeva. And many of us, we don't know how to study, So it's mean we pick here and there, or we read and we think we are a scholar. No. And it's always good to remember the result of Vedic study is not to get knowledge, it is to get realization. It is why a person who studies really Vedic knowledge, he has a proof that it is right. Exactly like a real scientist. But the difference, Vedas are more bigger than science, of course. Science is constantly changing, but spirituality is always the same. Yes, yes, it's changing, but religion are also changing. Spirituality is the same. So it means we need to understand what is real spirituality and what is real science. Because if we keep the same definition that science means knowledge, so we increase our knowledge, but it is the ascending process. And spirituality, it is increasing knowledge with a descending process. But we see that, for example, there is one person named Joel Dalton. He was a mathematician. And if I remember well, I think it was in 1808, it's more than 2 centuries ago. He so-called discovered the atom. And of course, he said atom is a more smaller living cell that can exist. So at that time, it was the atom was considered the smallest thing. And some time after, it was discovered that in the atom, we can have proton, neutron, electron. And in the Bhagavatam, in Canto 3, we have the teaching of Kapila for his mother, devotee. And here we have the definition of the atom. The most small entity that exists. So actually, what when devotee get the inspiration, I can say like that, to reconcile the modern science and spirituality, he created one word called spiritum. Spiritum means spiritual atom. We have the material atom, which can be divided into proton, neutron, electron, like that. But we have the spiritual atom with the soul, Atma, cannot be divided. But it is true that it's not only black and white, the story. Science and spirituality are very much connected. And all of us, we have been influenced by modern science. Who has been here influenced by the Vedic science? Who has studied, for example, Vedic mathematics? Who has studied Vedic psychology? Vedic sociology? We are born in a system that modern science is prevalent, with modern psychology, modern sociology, modern mathematics. So yes, it's the point I just want to make today is just to try to understand more what is science, what is spirituality, the influence that they have on the people, on us, on the people in general, and is it possible to use both of them to develop our life? Is it possible for science and spirituality to cooperate? What do you think? Possible or not? Can you make spiritual progress just by studying some text, for example, only the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? Many people do not have the time for full-time study, the Veda. If we are serious devotee, can we rely on Krishna to bring us realization? Everything is possible, you know. But if we want to make the maximum advantage from our side to go to the spiritual level, if this is our goal, we need to work a lot. And since maybe myself, I joined ISKCON many years ago, more than 40 years ago. So I have seen many type of person coming to ISKCON, many leaving ISKCON, anything like that, many good things, many bad things, something like that. So I have seen that many people, according to the Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 types of person who come to spiritual life. There is a person who is not happy, person who is inquisitive, person who wants money, and person who wants knowledge. People are coming like that. Now, what are the people who stay in spiritual life? People who are, it's mainly 2%, people who are inquisitive and people who want knowledge. And what are the person who develop spiritual life? It's mainly only people who want knowledge. So how can we, this is a distinction between religion, I can believe in God, I believe in rituals, and experiencing a spiritual consciousness. So, like for a person who has like a PhD in a topics, for example, mathematics. Mathematics is not something is real, It's real. It's not something invention. It's real. In the same way, for some person who has realization, advanced realization of spirituality, it is real. It's not a question of faith. It's experience. Okay. Arigato. So it means that we need to make clear the topics that we study, or the path that we are following. Yes, we need to make clear. Because if it is not clear, we hope. So actually in spiritual life, we can pray to Krishna, but according to Srila Prabhupada, he gave all what is necessary for us to go back home, back to Godhead. But he asked us to develop introspection in our life. One of my main guide in life told me, that introspection is the key of success. We need to evaluate ourselves. Where are we? And when we touch the topic of consciousness, it's very internal. Are we, to which degree we are conscious of our existence? To which degree we are conscious of God? To which degree we all want happiness, but to which degree we are aware about what is happiness? It's not so easy, If we have some association or person around us who are like more into introspection, they can help us to develop that, you know. And actually, this is a science of psychology. You know? Yes. So my personal experience now in ISKCON is when there is a bad experience in our life, you know, so there is damage in our life, so we need more help. So I know that sometimes there is, you know, we have some faith in some leader and they disappear. They are leaving ISKCON. It's happened sometimes, you know. Or we have some faith in the teacher in Gurukul, and sometimes some problem with the teacher, you know, for the children. It's happened in the past sometimes, you know. So when we have our life has been damaged, you know, we need help, and where to find help. So sometimes modern psychology can help us. Yes. I know many people, many devotees who have been helped by modern psychology. Because if we can find help anywhere, if we need help, we can try to find anywhere. So in that sense, we can see that uh, science can cooperate with us. But as I said before, um, pure science is included already in spirituality. In Vedic, in the Veda, science is included in spirituality. In non-Vedic atmosphere, science seems different from spirituality. So we can use, you know, like, you know, today we are using computer, you know, internet. So actually, we can discuss some spiritual topics and we are using science. You know? It's simple. You know? Now, what science can give to spirituality? Or what a scientific approach can give to spirituality? Or what can science can help spirituality? You can say modern science, huh? Modern science and spirituality. Oh, sorry. Yes, moving too quickly. Can we live without science? All of us. Means without computer, without phone, of course, without being in a city, because like that, can we live like that? I think they can cooperate. Science else, yes, science helps us materially a lot. Yeah, also, some scientific ideas give meaning to life. Yes, give meaning, give hope, have some direction. You know? So, if we go back to history, for example, if we go I can say 300 years ago, you know, so people were living in the countryside, taking care of animals. Maybe 80% of the people were living in a village, you know, in the world. Now, I think all of us here present, except maybe Ramesh, you know, are living in big cities, you know. No, Tokyo is quite a big city, I can see, you know, Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, you know. So they are very big cities. So if there is no science, there is no big cities. So can we leave the big city to go back to village life now, working in agriculture or having some work in a village? Is it possible now for all of us to go back to village? No idea. So science is giving facilities where it's more easy. We can have more material facilities. No, we can have car, we can have metro, we can have washing machine, we can have cosmetic, we can have food with already processed. We put a coin and we get the food in a packet, you know. This is due to science. In Vedic culture, there is no mention about that. No mention. No mention about car, about train. No, 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 no. So, yes, modern communication actually make it easier to share spiritual knowledge. Yes. One time I was asking to a French lady, I tell her, in the spiritual world, there is no internet. And she told me, if there is no internet, I don't want to go to the spiritual world. It was a joke, but it was, I mean, we are accustomed to modern facilities now. Mm-hmm. If we want, we can go back to a small village in the world. But it is easier to share knowledge, communication knowledge. So science can give facilities to develop our spirituality. Facilities. But for a spiritual person, the facilities are not the main thing. They are helping. If the spiritual person has the facilities, it's very good. If he doesn't have the facility, it's also very good. Because the consciousness is the same. You know? We can live in a nice building, or we can live, in a simple room. In a nice bed or simple bed. It is the same sleeping. But it gave facilities. It gave, we can connect with all the world. We can look at many YouTube classes, everything in all the world. We can have a translation about many topics, in different countries. And is it possible for spirituality to give something to science now? The other way. What spirituality can give to science? Science can prove the necessity of spirituality for people. Yes. Yes. Research is of our meditation a very positive way to the brain and the cell of the body. Yes. Actually, there is one verse in Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, it is Canto first. I think it is chapter 5, and text is, I think it is 18 or 20. I think it is 18. It is, the verse is like that, The learned spiritualists, they have concluded that the effect of art, science, psychology can be used in the Lord's service. And Srila Prabhupada, in that purport, he explained that what is Hari Kirtanam, to glorify the Lord. Sometimes we think Hari Kirtanam for all of us is like we do Harinam, But Srila Prabhupada, in that purport, he explained Hari Kirtanam means to inspire, to encourage, to help people who are scientists to connect to the Lord, to people who are artistic to connect to the Lord, people who are psychologists to connect to the Lord. So it is like spirituality can give to the science a meaning about science. It gives a value in science. I think now there are about 25% of the scientists, means like a researcher, physics, like that, who are involved into the weapon topics, to produce arm. 25%. So spirituality can give some more value, level of consciousness, inspiration, to avoid people to become crazy. Spiritual tradition have a lot of knowledge about consciousness they can share. Actually, since about 40 years, 1990, I think I'm going to speak that after. Consciousness is becoming a big topic now in science. And it's also a big topic in religion. When in 2001, it was a big problem with two towers in New York being destroyed by a plane, After that time, it was a more spiritualist person, or religionist person actually, were having some meeting, because it was supposed to be by a religion Muslim person against America, like that. So how to train our the people not to make this type of destruction, have nothing to do with spirituality or religion. So it means this is the question of consciousness. And this development of consciousness is the very important part. Yes, what also David right? Study of the brain and spiritual state is not acceptable in science. I don't think it was a few decades ago. It was. Actually, consciousness studies, is part of the science. And this is a topic that the soul is involved. Now it's becoming more acceptable. Now there are more discussion. Now there are more, especially in the countries where there is no fighting between science and spirituality. In India, there is no fighting between science and spirituality. In America, there is very little fighting. In Western Europe, there are still fighting. Maybe I think in countries like Mongolia, Japan, maybe less fighting. Eastern tradition, there is less fighting. Western tradition, there are more fighting. So it means now we have atheistic science and we have non-atheistic science. So spirituality can give something to science. And also science can give something to spirituality to some degree. So if we accept that, therefore we can have a dialogue between science and spirituality and see in which field that thing can help and which field other thing can help. And actually, we can see that in our if you think more, we're going to see that in our world now, the thing that was the most important, it is science and spirituality. Science means after technology, means how to use a modern facility for us, for war, like that. And spirituality means, okay, to have some value system, some religion, some peace of mind, ahimsa means non-violence, value like that, So these two things are very, very important now. And actually, we cannot go without these two things. Cannot go. And we cannot come back as before, where it was simple life, in village. It's possible for a few, not for everyone. So, this type of topics I'm bringing because I see that this can help many people to understand more clearly about the connection, especially for a devotee of Krishna, or person who want to become a devotee of Krishna. Means we are trying to follow the Srila Prabhupada, the Vedic literature, the Bhagavad Gita, the books like that, But we have been influenced by modern science. And if we are convinced fully by Vedic literature, we are going to involve 100% of our life in following Srila Prabhupada for devotee from ISKCON. No? If we are not convinced 100%, we're not going to follow 100%. So it can be, and to be convinced means we need to get realization and proof like that. Yes, what you said, David, Yes, in any bookshop now, there are many books about self-help, practical philosophy, spirituality. But it is meditation, like that. It is in general way. So how to, what the Vedas are saying about this topic, self-help, practical philosophy, spirituality. So it means there is a need to go in that direction. And why devotee, when they join ISKCON, why so many are not very active? Why so many come sometimes only for the Sunday feast, or sometimes only for Ratha festival, Why? Devotee initiated or not the same thing in that situation. It was not about convince. So now I'm going to say something about how to get knowledge. It's been in our normal life, we go to school. For example, before the exam, we study more. We try to remember as much as we can. Because the exam is a question of remembering. So if we remember, we can have to pass the exam. If we don't remember, we fail. This is a modern system. The Vedic system is different to study. For example, for devotees who follow Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we have the Bhagavad Gita. We can read the Bhagavad Gita. We can read many times the Bhagavad Gita. We can study the Bhagavad Gita. But why we don't get the full realization? We can memorize the Bhagavad Gita. But after we can say, reading, we need to be convinced. If we are not convinced, we are not going to apply. We just apply like a parrot externally. And this is not going to last long time. So how to get the realization? We need to be convinced. How to become convinced? We need to have no doubts in our mind. This is the way. And in order to have doubts, we need to test the knowledge. Knowledge must be true. For example, Bhagavad Gita must be true, past, present, and future. Must be true in every country of the world even in the universe, cosmos. If we are convinced that Bhagavad Gita is true for every person, every country, every planet, the next item, the most important item, is Bhagavad Gita true for me? It can be true for other people, but not for me. If it is not true for me, I'm not going to practice no realization. If it is true for me, after my study about all the world people, then I'm going to practice and get the realization. Because realization, according to the Veda, it's a science. We practice, we have no doubts, we are convinced, we get realization. 100% sure. So it means this is a Vedic science now. How to come from the knowledge, book knowledge, to the realization. This is why Srila Prabhupada said, book knowledge without realization of the supreme, of the absolute truth is useless. Yes, it's useless. But book knowledge with realization of the absolute truth is useful. So this is a Vedic science in comparison to the modern science. Of the way to study, way to realize. And this is why this Vedic way to get knowledge is it can be accepted by modern science because it is a proof. There is no doubt. It's individual, but it is the same for everyone because everybody is a soul. So this is some ideas of this topic, I wanted to share with you, like that. Do you have any type of point, argument, question, about what we discussed in the beginning? I know you're all very peaceful. No argument, everything, you accepted everything. No? So there is nothing, I can now present something about Bhaktivedanta Institute, who has been created by Srila Prabhupada, in around 1974. And this Bhaktivedanta Institute has followed, some discussion that Srila Prabhupada had with that person here who has with the mic. At the time it was Sarup Damodar Prabhu, who became sannyasi after, Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj, and his civil name is Dr. T.D Singh. He is my spiritual master. Sure. And it was many discussion. When this Sarup Damodar Prabhu, at that time, he was a student. He met Srila Prabhupada in America, and he wanted to join ISKCON. And Srila Prabhupada told him, no, you don't join the ISKCON temple in Los Angeles. No, you need to finish your study to get your PhD. So he did that. This is why it is known as Dr. T.D Singh, civil name, And in 73 and 74, they had a lot of conversation near the beach, like in Los Angeles, like that. And after that type of conversation, it was a book that maybe quite a few have read, Life from Life. This discussion, so Saudamna Prabhu was playing the role of a modern scientist, giving argument why there is no God, and Srila Prabhupada was answering, that argument with the Vedic literature. So in 73, 74, it was a lot of discussion, about that topic. And in 1973 and 74 also, that person, Dr. T.D. Singh, can say like that, but he's older than he wrote a small book called The Scientific Basis of Krishna Consciousness. And in that book, he explained what is the basis of Krishna consciousness. It is scientific. It is a small book, pamphlet, it's 150 pages like that. And Srila Prabhupada was so happy with that book that he was requesting the BBT. Usually, it's only Srila Prabhupada books, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, till 1977. So he was requesting the BBT to put that book in the BBT. So it was the first explanation by a real scientist, Dr. T.D. Singh, about the scientific basis of Krishna consciousness. So he put in a simple word, but it's a very deeper presentation, So it was before their meeting. Many meetings were like that. And at what time Srila Prabhupada was asking Bhaktiswarupa Maharaj to collect in ISKCON which devotee has a PhD, which devotee has a master degree or a BSc degree. And at that time, it was mainly 3 devotees who were disciples of Srila Prabhupada who were having a PhD degree. Sataputta Prabhu, who has a PhD in mathematics. Bhaktiswarupa Maharaj, it was in organic chemistry. And the third one was Madhava Prabhu. And these 3 persons, 3 PhD, they developed the Bhaktivedanta Institute. And in that, we consider that it had been created in 2024. It was discussion a few years before, a few years after about that, how to present that. And Srila Prabhupada, he was requesting Bhaktiswarupa Maharaj here to be the chairman, director of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. So he accepted that from 1974 till his disappearance in 2006. He was the director of Bhaktivedanta Institute. And in that institute, sometimes we see Srila Prabhupada when he, in his classes, or sometimes interview, sometimes he spoke strongly against material scientists. Sometimes he used the word rascal, like that, demon. Srila Prabhupada used that term. It does not mean that we can use the same term. And he was training Bhaktiswarupa Maharaj to develop Bhaktivedanta Institute. And one very important point of that training was, before preaching someone, you need to make friendship with that person before. And this is a secret of success. When you make a friendship with someone, after sometimes, even if you don't have the same idea, but at least he can listen to you. And you can listen to him, see what is common, what is different. And we can develop cooperation. So he has been personally trained by Bhaktiswarupa Maharaj. Yes, David. I can give you the link. It is in the database, about the book. I have within one in English. And actually, I translated that book in French, So my idea for the people who want is to do another seminar on that, only on that book, the basis of Krishna consciousness, because it is very clear, very clear. Everyone who wants to have who can say the copy of that book can write to me, more easy like that. So my WhatsApp address, email address. And in that Bhaktivedanta Institute, I can just give you a small idea about what they have done since the creation in 1974. So first, they have tried to plan what to do, how to present Vedic literature to people who are used to think a lot, scientists, philosophers, theologians like that, and who are not used to go to temple and just chant Hare Krishna and take prashadam easily, So the first international program was in 1977. Srila Prabhupada, he was very sick in Vrindavan, He left his body in November 14, 77. And he was requesting his disciple, the person who is here, in class, but he's all Maharaj, to do something before he's going to leave his body about science and spirituality. So the first international congress was organized in Vrindavan, exactly 1 month before Srila Prabhupada left this world. October 10, 11, and 12, 3 days program. It was not in Krishna Balaram Mandir, it was there, and all inviting scientists from Delhi, Agra, like that, It was in English, And all the 3 main persons I told you were there. 2 other persons were also there, Gyana Prabhu and also another devotee from America, who had a master degree in geology. So there were 5 members at the beginning. And Srila Prabhupada was staying in his bed, almost not eating at all at the end of his life. But he was very eager to know what's happened. How scientists are accepting some idea about Krishna consciousness. The devotees were not dressed in devotee clothes at all, like a gentleman like that, And they were doing a report, and Srila Prabhupada was very, very, very happy. It was the first one. And the first big program was in San Francisco in 1990 about consciousness. It was the first international congress on consciousness in the world. I know. And it was somewhere very big program, like, it was another one in 1986 in Mumbai now, Dalai Lama was the main speaker, the first speaker, I was not there, but I was in Calcutta in 1997, And here we have that person with in black cloth, in the center, Now he left his body. His name was Charles Towns, get a PhD in physics, And he was Nobel Prize also. And he discovered the thing connected to the laser. If we have computer now, he's one of the main person. He discovered something with helping us to have computer. Charles Towns, he was quite old at that time. He was maybe 90, So in 1997. This is Dr. T.D. Singh in a saffron cloth, He was sannyasi. C'est Japat Maharaj, so. This was Bruce Mangan, a person that I met in America, in San Francisco. And actually, he was very interested by the Vedic science. So he came to Mumbai to study the creation, according to the Bhagavatam, for his own study for a PhD in America. Mm-hmm. This person was a very nice person. His name was Mahaprabhu from Iran, who was also having a PhD. You know? Actually, all the person here were giving talk in this congress in Calcutta. You know, it was about 2,000 people came, you know, for assisting. It was a big thing. And the topics was about the Second World Congress on Science and Religion. The first one was in Bombay in 1986, you know. And the last big program that was organized by Bhaktivedanta Institute was in 2004 in Rome, in Italy. Second International Congress on Life and its Origin. Italy, you know, is mainly Catholic countries, you know. But due to the connection of Bhakti Maharaj with a lot of the Pope, different authority in Christianity, you know, the city of Rome gave us free of charge, you know, you know, the facility to make a big congress like that, you know. And they were very, very appreciative of the you can say the topics, life in its origin. Life come from life, or life come from matter. This is the topics, you know. Atheist people say life comes from matter. Theistic people say life comes from life. So what is the reality? You know? What is the reality? What is the truth? One of the speakers of that congress in Rome is not in the first line. Yeah? He was Dr. Sudarshan, a big mathematician, you know, Indian origin, but living in America. And when he gave that presentation of mathematics, you know, he was having a picture of Krishna, you know, like that. And we can see the picture of Krishna. And he's on the desk, you know, he was speaking and the desk like that, you know. And he was saying that mathematics can prove the existence of God. And I was in that congress. And after that congress, I wanted to visit a little Rome, you know, the Vatican, you know. And I met him, you know, with his wife in the Vatican. He was having with him around his neck the picture of Krishna, same picture of Krishna. And I asked him outside the Congress, you know, I said, but you're always with a picture of Krishna. He said, yes, because if you want to study, you know, science like mathematics, you need to be aware about God, and you need ultimately to become a devotee of God or Krishna. Mm-hmm. So it means there are some scientists, you know, who are quite conscious of Krishna or God. Yes, it's since I am associated with Bhaktivedanta Institute myself, you know, I really this gave me a lot of inspiration for my own life, you know, to see that this connection between science and spirituality can help us to become a better person and a better devotee, you know, to become a devotee of Krishna. And now I have some quotes, you know, like that I can, yes. So it is what Dr. Singh was saying, you know. Maybe, David, can you read? If you are free.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Okay. Science, that is observation and hypothesis, is a basic fact of the mechanics of thought. What is lacking is a purpose and a larger intellectual setting within which this empirical exercise can take place.
So this is the mood of Dr. T.D. Singh. Means he was a scientist and a spiritualist himself, both. So it's been he understands what is science and he understands what is lacking. So science is working about how the things are working, and spirituality is working on why it is working like that. So we can say that God or Krishna can be presented as a supreme scientist. Yeah. You can go on, David? No, there's a few things.
By the careful study of science, one can understand that consciousness is beyond matter, which is the conclusion of spiritual tradition.
And this is a careful study of science, It's not a casual study. Because if we try to understand how the things are working, then we can understand we can use the thing in a different way according to our consciousness. And if we understand that our consciousness is different from matter, no connection with matter, we are reaching the same conclusion that the spiritual tradition. Actually, the basis of Krishna consciousness is to change our consciousness from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. This is the essence of this ISKCON movement. If we don't change our consciousness, if we change only the external thing, like putting dhoti, like tilak, and like that external thing, if we don't change our consciousness, we are going to stay in the material world. Sure. Yes, David.
The distinction between the electron and the spiriton is the electron has no consciousness, but the spiriton has consciousness.
Yeah. So this Dr. T.D. Singh is the person who created the word spiriton I was mentioning before, Now this word is in a more field, in science it is included now. So this is about the difference of to become aware that we are conscious. Actually, when we say about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna himself, Radha Krishna himself, when you say Krishna Chaitanya, Jayasri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Chaitanya means Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya means consciousness. There are other words for consciousness in Sanskrit. Chitta, Chaitya, Chaitana means consciousness, this word. Now, something. Yes, David, can go on.
Sorry. The happiness that we get through material things is very transient. Therefore, intelligent persons seek for permanent happiness.
So now this indicates the approach now for looking for spiritual, permanent happiness, means for spiritual thing, because material thing cannot give us eternal happiness. There is a beginning and end, material. This is why in Vedanta Sutra it is said, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Therefore, we need to inquire about the absolute truth to get this happiness, to get this real life. Yes, David.
The highest message of religious and spiritual wisdom is that the human form of life is a matchless gift of God, and it should be utilized to perfect human consciousness and to realize the full meaning of life.
After the 2001, actually, after this thing happened to the tower in America, T.D. Singh was very much aware that we need to have, of course, a bridge between science and spirituality, but we need also to have inside the spirituality, inside the religion, we need to develop the real spirituality. And we need to have a common presentation, common goal, you know. We can have different rituals, different religion, no problem, but common goal. You know? So he was working a lot in that field, you know. Mm-hmm. Because we need to always remember what is the most, the essential message of the books, Bhagavad Gita, Bible, Quran, like that. We need to remember what is the essence. You know? Yes, David again. Hmm?
The spiritual traditions of the world teach us to discover the purpose, vision, and plan of God behind the wonderful creation.
This means that it is why scientific approach or help from science can help us to discover the plan of God. Yes. Can help us. Yes, again.
Okay. All the scriptures proclaim that we are all God's children. Hence, we are all brothers and sisters. Although we speak different languages, have different colors and different religions, if we recognize and practice this culture of universal brotherhood and sisterhood, because we have one common Father, then the world will be a very different place.
Do you think the same thing? We are all brother sister, you know, human being, also animals, we are brother sister, you know. You know? Now in this world we have many problems because you know, fighting, war, you know, like that. Huh? This is the last one I'm selecting today.
Yeah. Humility means one does not impose his conceptions upon others, and he is fully dependent on the mercy of the Lord.
Yes. So actually, for a real spiritualist and a real scientist, humility is a key. You know, the key. Yes. And now I can. Yes, I stopped the sharing the thing. Huh? Yes. I don't know why I have it. So it was like my conclusion, you know, to show that what is science, what some introduction, of course, what is science, what is spirituality, what is the connection, the bridge, what Srila Prabhupada, you know, had envisioned, you know, to uh, to uh, to understand reality, you know, and also to see that this Bhaktivedanta Institute is presenting to some people who are more thinking, you know, scientists, philosophers, you know, theologians, and sociologists, you know, some ideas that can that modern science can include in their research. And this was the point, you know. And this is already happening, actually. But it's not so much well known in the world. It's not so much well known in ISKCON, you know, and other tradition. So I wanted to present that just to maybe inspire you to develop more understanding about the topics in your life. So now maybe you can open the video. I see what you're doing. I said, thank you, David. And because this is a problem. There is no audio, no video. I don't know what's happened behind. You know? Yes, I understand it's not easy because only David speak a very good English first, but it was like I'm going to do a few programs on the same team and some program more deeper, And this was like introduction, And I'm going to do a program also for devotees from Mongolia with Mongolian translation. It was the idea actually in the beginning. But I want to thank you for being present today, and I hope that you get some ideas, information, inspiration, something about that, and I may see some of you in Tokyo Temple in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to move to temple next Sunday. I'm going to be a temple devotee next Sunday. And some programs are going to be organized, I think so, with Russian translation or Japanese translation. We'll see. So do you have any point before we close? Yes.
Devasha Prabhu, thank you very much. Sorry, just yes, sometimes very difficult to answer by English, and in the chat can like use Google Translate and not easily.
Yes.
I'm talking yes, yes, and sometimes really difficult to answer what I mean or what I want to say. So was a little bit silent. Yeah, maybe in the temple will be more easily with everybody like speak and answer to the question.
Yes.
But
Actually, this Mataji, Indira, yes. So we just organize, today. I'm going to make a program with Russian translation. You know that, huh?
Yes. Exactly.
So,
she will give me this link for this meeting. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So we organize Saturday 22.
Yes.
Maybe 11 o'clock. No, English and Russian translation.
Yes. We hope to go to temple on this day. Yes.
Yes, because it's better to understand,
Yes.
as much as we can. Say like that.
Yes.
David is very fortunate because he speaks English. He's very fortunate,
I'm very happy to have this chance to come to this meeting and see you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So yes, thank you very much. And I can send to you the book about scientific basis of Krishna consciousness in English. And you can contact me. I can send to you. It's part of the Vedabase, the Srila Prabhupada books. Follow Vedabase, It's inside about the spiritual books. I have a few, and it is here, but I can send you the link, and you can have the book with you. Like that. Thank you very much. Spasiba. Arigato. Dhanyavad. Hare Krishna.
Thanks so much. Hare Krishna.